Hi, I'm with Joydeep Hoare of People and Culture Strategies. Joydeep, let me ask you, why do you think personal branding is important?
I think personal branding is absolutely critical in any profession, but particularly those professions where the nature of being impactful and successful in those professions requires you to establish some kind of personal connection and rapport with the people you're dealing with. And that's so pronounced in any of the people related industries, of which I'd include workplace law as one. Um, and I think that the additional piece about the personal branding that goes over and above firm branding or professional branding is that the nature of the people issues that you're often dealing with, and certainly that I'm dealing with every day of the week, are matters about which people need to feel that sense of trust, that sense of openness with the person that they're going to be communicating in relation to. So um, the importance of having a personal brand is the recognition, from my point of view, that what they're ultimately dealing with is a person, regardless of the auspices under which they're dealing with that person, be that a firm brand or an industry or an occupation, and that's what it all stems from.
Help me with that. What do you mean by under the auspices? Just explain that a little bit more.
So the issue of and I think it's very pronounced in professional services where you've got big name firms, and whether you're talking about law firms or big recruitment companies or whatever else, they would naturally be trying to strengthen the value of their corporate relationship, the firm's branding with the particular client company or institution, and also key individuals within that particular institution. So that's the platform under which the personal brand is very often started. But what, of course, then happens is that as the person becomes more and more of the go-to, the firm, the professional entity, becomes less and less relevant. And so as a person moves from firm to firm, as much as their former employer or partnership or whatever might not appreciate the fact that they've developed this personal brand, the reality is that it's by virtue of the strength of that person's personal brand that it will present a business risk or a business challenge to the firm from which they're leaving.
And it's often said that when people go along to a consultancy, a law firm, a professional services organisation, that they're doing it not to engage necessarily with the overarching brand name, but it's with an individual.
Exactly. And I think from my perspective, I can often draw the distinction between the firm brand of your big four accounting firms, for example, where it is very much the strength of those professional brands which lock in the year-to-year work with so many of their clients. And my understanding is that there's not a huge amount of movement between those businesses that might use one of the big four accounting firms to another one of the big four accounting firms. And I'd suggest that without being in any way diminutive of or disrespectful of the work that's done by those big accounting firms, it's less personal and people focused in nature. And that's where the strength of personal relationships becomes so much more important. And so one of the things I've always tried to do is, and I'll be very honest, I think over the years I've struggled with how do you put forward a personal value proposition and um, make sure that you're not doing so at the expense of a firm value proposition. And it's not the easiest thing to do. And
No.
as your firm grows and as you're trying to expose more and more people within your organisation to people within the client organisation, you've got to ensure that your personal brand is actually not too disconnected from the professional brand.
Well, that's true. And so you've had a personal experience in that, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I guess from very early on, I realised that I was passionate about this area, passionate about um, people law issues in the context of general employment and industrial relations and harassment and bullying and health and safety and all of those kinds of things. And that passion was my key driver in terms of wanting to build relationships with particular individuals and particular organisations who've stayed with me for the better part of the last 15 years. And those relationships have grown. And I've made the move from having been the managing partner of another specialist employment firm to setting up people and culture strategies 2 years ago. And that certainly, it's reasonably well known, wasn't the easiest of things to do. And there was some tensions associated with that departure. And that's part and parcel of, I think, that very tension between the strength of a personal brand and the impact that the strength of that personal brand might have on a firm brand at the time that the person with the personal brand is looking to take that personal brand elsewhere.
Absolutely, and that covers off a lot of very important points.